The KX4 has three different powering options available. The first is PoE. Wire a shielded Cat5, Cat6 cable from the KX4 Ethernet port to an 802.3 AF compliant Power over Ethernet switch Class 3. Please note, using a non-compliant PoE device may damage the KX4. The second method is through RS-45 control port. Wire a Cat5, Cat6 cable from the KX4 control port to a CB8 input port. The CB8 will be connected directly to the processor's expansion port. The third method is through direct line. Connect a 12 VDC to 16 VDC 0.5 amp power supply to the 12 to 16 VDC and ground terminals of the Phoenix connector on the KX4. Here's an important note though. Do not power the KX4 directly from any XP processor. Doing so could actually damage the unit. Wiring for sensing contact closure and voltage and issuing relay and voltage triggers is straightforward. An important note while making these connections. The Phoenix connector must be unplugged to reach the screws that are used to secure the wiring in the terminal. During the wiring process, place the Phoenix connector into the wiring staging location. After all the wiring is connected, finish installing the Phoenix connector by aligning it with the power sense relay port and pushing it into place. The maximum AWG wire allowed by the KX4 Phoenix connector is 22 AWG. To wire the contact closure as a sense input, connect one of the wires from the device to one of the sense inputs, labeled 1 through 6, and the other wire to the KX4 ground input. To wire for voltage sensing, connect the positive wire from the voltage source to one of the sense inputs labeled 1 through 6, and the negative wire to the KX4 ground input. The KX4 relays provide contact closure or switching control for loads up to 2 amp 30 VDC with 60 watt max each. Relays are normally open when not energized, but they can be programmed to behave normally closed if power is applied to the KX4. First, connect one of the equipment leads to the contact A of the KX4 relay, labeled 1 through 4. Second, connect the remaining equipment lead to contact B of the same relay. Programming will be done in Integration Designer. The KX4 relays can also be used to control voltage triggers, but require additional wiring. An important note, when using a relay as a voltage trigger, the KX4 must be powered via CB8 connecting block or a separate power supply. The voltage trigger will not work when PoE is used. Connect the ground terminal of the KX4 to the ground connection on the equipment to be triggered. Install a 22 AWG jumper wire between the KX4 12 to 16 VDC terminal and the contact A terminal of the relay that is being used to send the voltage trigger. Connect the contact B terminal of the relay to the 12 VDC input on the equipment being triggered. The control and feedback options on the KX4 include the RS-232, RJ45 control port, RJ45 Ethernet, and built-in Zigbee transceiver. The KX4 is capable of one- or two-way communication with the supported devices and electronics via standard Cat5, Cat6 cable with RJ45 termination. The two RJ45 to DB9 adapters are included. Here's a pro tip. RS-232 communication cabling should be limited to 50 feet or 16 meters. The actual distance, however, will vary depending on the baud rate, so keep that in mind when speccing out the project. RS-232 drivers and codes are found within Integration Designer programming software, but you may also import and build your own databases of codes and access them fully from within the software. The control port on the KX4 uses a Cat5, Cat6 cable with RJ45 termination. When used in conjunction with the RTI control processor like an XP6S and the RTI CB8 connecting block, this port serves as a power source for the KX4 in addition to RS-45 communication or to send infrared codes directly to a device using the pinout seen here. The RJ45 Ethernet port allows connection to a 10100 base T Ethernet LAN. Network settings such as the IP address are configurable within Integration Designer. The Ethernet LAN connection enables communication with the RTI control system, direct control of devices via IP, MJPEG video, RTI panel support, and power over Ethernet. Please note that when powering the KX4 using PoE, an 802.3 AF compliant Class 3 PoE switch must be used. Anything else could result in damage to the unit. The NetLink LED located above the Ethernet port will illuminate if the KX4 is connected to the Ethernet network. The LED will flash intermittently depending on traffic. If you are experiencing communication or power issues when using the Ethernet port, check to make sure this LED is lit. If not, the first step is to check the cabling and termination points of your network cable. If you still have issues, feel free to call tech support. The KX4 has an integrated Zigbee transceiver module. Zigbee is the primary and recommended communication method between RTI control processors and remotes. This connection supports full duplex two-way communication. The KX4 Zigbee can also be used as a repeater or secondary network within a system when added as an expansion processor. We will show you how to program for this in just a moment. For additional information about setting up Zigbee, please refer to the installation guide and testing bundle on the RTI dealer website for installation instructions and best practices using Zigbee.